So today I'm going to show you a little bit of behind the scenes, how I choose songs, arrange them, ultimately record and distribute them, and kind of my process behind that. Some of you guys have been asking. I'm just going to start with a fresh song that I've yet recorded and going to share the whole process with you. So recently I was asked to cover While My Guitar Gently Weeps, which is one of my favorite all-time George Harrison tunes. It's been done by all the ultimate guitar heroes, right? You know, songs like that for me are intimidating because so many greats have left their stamp on it. I'm just going to kind of walk you through how I navigate some of that stuff creatively and then get into a few technicalities as well. So it all starts for me with preparation. Just like pretty much anything else you do in life, it all happens in rehearsal, it all happens in training. So after your song is selected, then it's time to learn the song. I'm a big fan of learning the way it was recorded originally, or one of the original ways that the artist does it, before moving on and changing the arrangements. That's just how I like to work. I heard in a video from Tommy Emmanuel a few years back about his process, and he always likes to learn the song and then he starts to add his own embellishments and flavor and taste into it. And so, you know, talking about this song, one of the acoustic versions George Harrison does, you know, it's got that really cool walk down. The whole song's built around it. For me, I mean, I love playing it that way, and when you're playing it on stage, of course, it's probably a good way to do it so that other people know what the heck you're doing. But I've been listening to a lot of Ry Cooder lately. He's one of my all-time favorite slide guitar heroes, and he's produced some really cool, like Cuban-style records back in the day with Buena Vista Social Club. And so I've been listening to kind of, you know, some of that more Latin-inspired music that also infuses blues and jazz, which I'm all about it. So after I kind of learn the song and I learn it, then it's time to know it. And for me, knowing a song takes about 100 plays. So if it's a 3-minute song, that's maybe 5 hours of playing. To really, for me, you know, a lot of people do it a lot quicker. For me, that's what it takes for me to really know a song. And then I can start developing it into my own thing. And so kind of what I came up with, staying true to that walk down, I changed it ever so slightly. So that's kind of the groove that I'm gonna approach with this song. And kind of how I got there is another part of the preparation, is once you know the song, right? Then for me it becomes a matter of instrumentation. What's it gonna sound best with? What's gonna be the main instrument? Is it gonna be piano? Probably not, because I'm a guitar player. Most of the time it's a slide guitar, but I like to try different instruments once I have kind of wrapped the song around my head a little bit. And you know, for me, it was picking up this nylon string guitar that my wife Callie bought me in Santa Fe a few years back. And I tried playing it on this one. All of a sudden, that Latin feel kind of, you know, just kind of came out. And so sometimes, you know, playing with different instruments is a big part of the creative process for me. So after that happens, right, then it's time to prepare even more before you start recording. For me, that's how I like to do it. Once I hit that record button, my hands get all shaky and, you know, I start sweating and kind of get the nerves always, pretty much every time. So I like to be super prepared, and I start working with a metronome. Then I don't even have to question where I'm at in the song. And also what that does is it helps set up your BPM that you're going to ultimately set up in your DAW, whatever you're recording on, right? Sometimes once you start recording, you'll find that you want to change the tempo ever so slightly. I like to know what tempo I'm going to play the song before I start recording. That way I can just kind of enter the whole process with confidence, whether I'm going into a studio or whether I'm recording it myself, which is what I primarily do these days. So again, just kind of in my preparation, it's all about choosing the song, right? Whether it's been suggested to you or it's something that just pulls on your heartstrings and you have to leave, your stamp on it. Then it's learning the song, practicing. Then it's knowing the song, which is, maybe another 5 hours. I had said that learning for me, really getting to know it, takes about 5 hours. Then knowing it in my own way and starting to restructure it in a way that accommodates my voice, whether it's changing the tempo, whether it's changing the key or the arrangement entirely. And then ultimately practice with a metronome before recording. Okay, so by this time, I've learned the song. I know what I'm going to be playing. I know what BPM I'm going to be playing it. I feel confident in it. It's time to record. But I'm in somebody else's house. I'm actually on a retreat right now up in Utah, doing some writing and working on some of Callie's projects as well, but I have deadlines I have to stick to. So just want to run you through kind of my mobile setup, which is actually how I've been recording pretty much all my records. I'm not into recording gear. I'm a minimalist when it comes to recording setups, and I just don't believe in 2024 that we need like multi-million-dollar studios to capture great sound. Like, I'm all about mojo. I'm not necessarily about high fidelity. If you listen to any of my music, you could probably, figure out that my music is not necessarily into the hi-fi sounds. I'm more into vibe and lo-fi feel. So the mic that I use a lot, because I don't like traveling with super expensive mics and I just don't find the need most of the time, is I've got an MXL 992, which is like one of CAD's low-end mics back in the early O's, and it's still works. It's like bulletproof. I don't know what's up with it. And then what I do is I try and find a nice sounding space already that doesn't have a lot of reflection. It's as dry as possible. If I can hang extra clothing around me or cover up wood with blankets, anything I can do to kind of dampen the sound, but it's good to have a space that already sounds good and doesn't have any kind of weird slapback going on in the room. Just using household treatment to kind of make it sound a little bit better. Sometimes when I'm recording vocals, I'll actually record in a small closet with clothes all hung up, and I'll actually just kind of tuck myself in there and record inside of there, because what you can do in post in your DAW now is amazing, what you can do with reverbs and delays. So I like to capture a pretty dry sound. The first thing I'll record is a scratch track of me singing and playing the way I want the song to be sung and played. And then what I'll do is I'll go in, and for this song, it's just going to be an acoustic song, so it's really easy. So if there's anything I don't like or need to capture a little bit more information, I'll go back, re-record the guitar, and then record the vocals separately. So other than the microphone, I use this Akai MPK 249 as a recording controller. I don't always have it on me. And then I have MacBook Pro that I run Logic on, Logic Pro 10. And that's my preferred DAW. There's lots of videos and tutorials on that. I'm learning it myself. For me, it was just a transition from GarageBand, which, crazy enough, the whole Roots record was recorded with 2 microphones in a little casita in New Mexico with nothing but GarageBand plugins. I reamped everything into like old tube circuitry, and I'll talk about that later. But pretty simple setup. I'm a minimalist when it comes to this stuff. I like to focus on the music, not on the gear. I love get you all, see the love there that's sleeping, while my guitar gently weeps. Okay, once I get the scratch track done, Then I can go in, listen to it critically, think about vocal lines or guitar lines that I want to do a little bit differently. And quick little pro tip, here's a couple things that mess me up almost every time if you're into home recording, is the click. If it's too loud in your ears and you got your microphone hot, it's gonna come through and it will ruin your recordings. I've done that more times than I've had successful recordings. The other thing that I never think about is my jewelry. I just heard my necklace clanking around on my guitar. So try and always take off your jewelry. Minimize any extra sounds. Think about what your foot is tapping on. If you're recording on a hardwood floor and you've got boots on, I like to think about that sort of thing, unless I'm doing it intentionally. The other thing is my safe space, is I don't really have one because I pretty much live on the road and have for well over 10 years now. But one of my safe spaces, as cheesy as it is sunglasses. And I swear that when I listen to some of my favorite like Motown records and old blues records, they just sound like they had sunglasses on. For me, that's just kind of what I do in pretty much every recording. Oftentimes somebody's videoing as well, so then I don't have to worry about what I'm doing with my eyes and I can just focus on the music. So the other thing I do after my scratched take is done, I go back and overdub vocals. This is my favorite vocal mic for recording my voice and also using live. It's a Stag. I'm not even sure what type it is exactly. If anybody knows, you can let me know. But we were on tour one time and we broke a microphone and we were super broke and I had to hawk a guitar at a guitar shop. And they were kind enough to trade us for some like gaff tape, a couple XLR cords, and this microphone. And so that way we could play the gig that night. And just by chance, it just worked for kind of automatically scooping out a lot of the lows that I have and boosting some of the mid-range that I like to hear. And so I use this on pretty much all my recordings. And then other than that, I just try and keep it super simple. I do like large diaphragm microphones on acoustic instruments. And other than that, what I do is record a line out on most all my guitars straight into a DAW. And if I don't like the tone selection that's available there, then I will reamp it with actual tube amplifiers. Pretty much, I always just go straight into the DAW with everything. Okay. So I've got the track and the takes that I like. I'm done recording. Now it's time to enter into the mixing phase, which if I have time, I'll mix myself. But I always send it off to at least 3 or 4 people for constructive criticism if I do mix it myself. And then I always get it mastered by somebody else, either my friend Zach Bryant with 9 Moon Mastering or Glenn Halverson with Sonic Hill Studios just outside Nashville and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Those guys are my go-to. And then after that, they send the masters to me and the song is complete and I send it back to you. Hope you guys have gotten just a little bit of insight as to how my creative process works and my mobile studio setup. If you find it interesting, let me know. Maybe I can do some other stuff like this. Till next time, stay groovy. And if you'd like to hear the song that we just recorded together, you can check that out right here.